Welcome to Big Digital Thinkers. I think it's season 3, episode 2. I could be wrong. I'm your host, Mike McClintock, with the other host, Brad Fox. How's it going, Brad?
Everything is great, Mike. Good to see you again. It's good to kind of have the band back together. And today we have with us we have Faris Sabati from MySwimPro. And you can also, just as a quick blurb or a promo, you can find us on Facebook, you can find us on YouTube, Stitcher, SoundCloud, and Onenie.com. That's ONENIE.com. But It's great to see you again.
You can look for the Onenie channel on YouTube, and on Facebook, if you're probably watching it now on Facebook, is the Onenie channel as well.
All 7 of our viewers.
Yes.
That's right.
At least 8 now.
Yes. Faris, welcome to the show, and thanks for being with us. We really appreciate it.
Thanks for having me, guys. Yeah, super excited to be here. And I can tell you a little bit about our company. It's called MySwimPro. We're a technology and media company. Yeah, check out our sweet swag that we have right on the set. And we create mobile and wearable apps that coach people in swimming and triathlon. So our goal is to help people improve their performance and health. So as of today, people in over 180 different countries use our application on a daily, weekly basis to achieve their fitness goals.
180 countries.
That's a lot of countries.
That's a lot of countries.
Yes.
That's more countries than users than we have. That's like... There's more people watching your app in different countries than are watching this show right now.
Well,
no, kidding. We have millions.
You know what's amazing, though, is how technology can allow things like that to happen. Because 10 years ago, this wasn't possible. You know, pre-iPhone, pre-smartphone, you couldn't connect with people all over the world like you can today. Yep. And it's pretty awesome.
20 years ago, it would have took $1 million server just to get off the ground, and now you can do it with a MacBook and some Heroku account.
It's all in the cloud. Where the cloud is, it's all up there.
Yeah.
It's all in the cloud. So tell us, so are you available on both Android and Apple? So tell us about your distribution and how people can find about you. And then we'd like to learn a little bit more about kind of that. What was that idea that brought us to MySwimPro?
Yeah, for sure. So we are available on all the major platforms. So you can download it for free on iPhone, Android. If you go to the App Store and search Swim, search MySwimPro, you're gonna get the app downloaded. And we're also on all the major wearable apps. So Apple Watch, Fitbit, Garmin, Wear OS by Android. And we're going to add a few more different wearable apps to the platform this year. But if we kind of rewind, like how did I come up with this? So my background is a swimmer, born and raised around the sport of swimming. I fell in love with it, and I competed in school. I started coaching when I was 17, so I really around the sport in a number of different ways. And then the concept for actually starting this came from my personal experience as a coach, where I had swimmers asking me for workouts, for training plans, for training advice. And at one point, I had people offering to pay me money to send them a training plan. And so it gets you thinking, like, why is this? And you go online and you do market research and you figure out that there aren't that many platforms that allow you to get a personalized coaching experience for swimming. There's a ton of apps for biking, weightlifting, meditation, yoga,
running, even, right?
Running, yeah. Anything you could think of on land, there's a training app for it.
Right.
But at the time, around 2014, nothing really existed for swimmers. And at the time, I was working at technology startups in Detroit.
Right.
And so around the startup ecosystem, working for a startup, and it got me thinking, this is a big problem that I think I can do something about.
So how'd you go about doing that? You just sat down and said, you know what, I'm going to make it. Right?
Yeah, and I think that's
between swimming and curling, but the Canadian market was kind of small.
Swimming and curling, I picked swimming. So, you have to validate the idea. So for me, working in the startup environment, that just because you think you have a cool idea doesn't mean it's going to actually have traction in the marketplace. So you need to go about and actually do customer discovery, talk to people who may not know you at all, may not know anything about what you're trying to do, and just try and understand their problems that they have. So for me, my initial customer discovery was all the people that I did know. So they were telling me, hey, I want workouts, I'm going to give you money. So that was initially, but I wanted to expand beyond that. So what I did, the initial concept was actually called MySwimPal. So like any budding entrepreneur, you buy the domain name, you get the Twitter handle, MySwimPal. I'm like, all right, we're set up, we're going to do something here. So what I did was I actually...
Right?
Well, I spelled MySwimPal, so actually the name is a little bit different now. So we actually pivoted the name, but initially it was MySwimPal. And on this website, I basically created a mock-up of what I thought the application was to solve this problem, basically to get this personalized coaching plan. And so it was a nice mock-up. I had different value propositions on it, and I used the Twitter account to drive traffic to the website. And you could put in your email to download this app that didn't even exist yet. And so I had hundreds of people putting in their email to download this app that didn't exist. And some were initially like, hey, what the heck? I want to download this app. I need this. And so I said it was in development. Right. But it was really just customer discovery. I'm trying to validate that people actually want this.
If you get people to fill out an email address, at least you know that, okay, something's there.
Yeah,
if you ask 7 of your friends.
Yeah. And so the benefit was that all these people didn't know who I was. So there was my name wasn't attached to anything. It was go to Twitter. You know, back in the day, this was Twitter. Maybe if you did this today, it'd be Instagram, right? So, you know, where are people spending their time? It's on Twitter. How do we get them interested in something? And I would do different A/B testing on the actual website to see how much money would they pay for it.
Very lean startup.
Very lean startup. You know, what are they interested in swimming? Are they interested in triathlon? Are they a swim coach? Are they an athlete themselves?
So how long did you do that before you turned those A/B tests that were just mock-ups on the website into the first minimum viable product?
Yeah, so that was about a couple months. So in 2014,
so like dozens of iterations of that. Or just a
I probably did like 6 different versions of that website just to A/B test, and then the people who put their email in the website, I would do customer discovery calls with them, talk to them on the phone, try and figure out like why were you interested in this? What is the value prop? Right. Exactly, like why are you willing to download this app, pay for it? I had different pricing on the web. So a few months go by, and then I actually at Grand Circus, I sort of pitched this at a startup weekend event that they're hosting there, and I met one of my co-founders, and we built out the first prototype version for Android at the very end of 2014.
Okay. How long did you spend on doing that?
We spent 3 days. Okay. So it was very prototype MVP. It didn't really do anything. The first version of our app was you open it up, there's 3 levels: beginner, intermediate, advanced. And then if you tap on intermediate, for example, there's 8 workouts, and it exports to PDF, and that's it. That was the whole app. And really, it was to validate how can we distribute this coaching knowledge to people who don't have a coach. And you don't need much to do that, actually.
Right.
And the core value of what we do today is actually still that. It's being a personalized coaching plan at a fraction of the cost of having a personal coach.
So did you guys, when you built this, did you guys build this yourselves? Are you guys tech? What is your background? Is your background tech background, or did you kind of farm out the kind of the building and production of the app itself?
Yeah. So I mean, I'm a business student, right? So, but that doesn't mean I'm not technical in some level. So building out that website and trying to figure out the mock-ups and doing the customer discovery. And then when I went to Grand Circus is when I actually pitched and met one of my now technical co-founders, Michael Onenie at Grand Circus. And so together, you know, him on the development side actually built out the Android application that eventually shipped to the App Store. And then a couple of weeks later, I got connected with my other technical co-founder, Adam Oxner, and he built out the iPhone version of the app. And we were working on it nights and weekends initially, so it wasn't like, all right, we have a prototype, we're going to just go full-time on this. So, you know, a couple months later, I eventually went full-time, and then a little bit later on, one of my other co-founders went full-time, and we've been building out the team sort of organically off of that.
And how many employees now are you strong, and what are some of your plans as you kind of, so where are you now in terms of number of employees? And that's really cool. One of the things that Mike and I talk about quite a bit is kind of the startup scene that's happening here in Detroit. Yeah. That was when you and I first met, that was kind of like, oh, you have to come on the show. So tell us a little bit of like number of employees now, and what are some of the plans as you're looking forward in the vision beyond swimming and triathlons? Are there other things that you guys, that MySwimPro is thinking about?
Yeah, so I mean, in terms of team size, we're still a pretty lean, small team. We're 6 people, and we'll be 9 actually by the next 2 months. So we already have a few team members committed. We know when they're going to join, and that's really exciting because we finished last year with only 4 full time. So we'll basically double in size over like 3 months, which is really exciting and brings a whole number of challenges in terms of what's going on. So we're doing, I mentioned we're in 180 different countries, but we're actually now translating into multiple languages. So to actually have a native version of the application in French, German, Portuguese, German. So to have these different languages is going to really open up our footprint globally, much more so than we're doing right now. And then we're launching a separate triathlon training application next month, which is going to be really exciting. So similar value proposition to the swimming market, what we do right now, but we're going to bring that into triathlon. And that's a really big opportunity to continue to grow and scale, not just within swimming, but in the triathlon world.
One of the things that I think is interesting that you guys did is you were one of the first people in Michigan, I think, and actually just one of the first people in general who did equity crowdfunding.
Yeah.
Which is like a whole different, animal there. I mean, we heard about it for years and years and years, Jobs Act, all this kind of stuff. You guys actually pulled one off.
Yeah.
And
Two off, sort of.
two off, yeah.
In
And
the
there's
middle
a
of
lot
one.
that goes into that. It's not
Yeah.
just like GoFundMe and you just kind of throw an idea and a video up there and hope
Yeah,
for the
yeah,
best.
for
There's
sure.
a lot. There's a lot behind the scenes that has to happen.
Yeah,
So
you definitely need to be. I'd say the difference between normal crowdfunding like a Kickstarter or GoFundMe and equity crowdfunding. One is a donation or pre-buying a product. The other is investing in a company, and traditionally that was reserved for the top 1% of income earners.
Right.
the
Qualified
rich people.
investors.
Yeah, accredited investor. And so as of 2016. Anyone can invest in a private company, and the company can publicly solicit funds. The company, to be able to do this, needs to be more polished. So, unlike Kickstarter or something where you can just, I have this crazy idea for, this widget, and I'm going to create a video, and it's going to be great.
yeah, it's regulated. I mean, you have to do
you
some
have to.
Securities and Exchange Commission paperwork.
Yeah.
It's not as bad as if you were going to do,
It's not like an IPO where you have the S1.
but
Yeah.
it's still a daunting task.
Yeah,
So how
so-
did you go about figuring out how to handle all that paperwork? And
Yeah,
stuff? Did you get a lawyer? Or
Yeah, so definitely you
read
need
a
legal
blog post somewhere?
I mean, you do need to read a lot of blog posts. There's a lot of good content and also bad content out there. So make sure you're looking at everything. But you definitely need legal consultation. But now actually it's become a lot simpler because there are so many platforms out there that do equity crowdfunding. So like, for example, the platform we use is called WeFunder, and we ran one in 2017. We're actually running one right now because it works so well. So we figured.
And WeFunder
let's
is
just-
an actual legitimate sanctioned by the SEC and FINRA marketplace.
Exactly.
You can't just put up a website and
And
decide
ask
that you're
for money.
a marketplace for
Yeah.
what is it? Regulation.
Yeah,
A,
regulation
basically.
CF. Yeah, regulation
so
crowdfunding.
regulation CF
Yeah.
crowdfunding as opposed to Reg A or Reg D.
D, yeah.
So blah 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 SEC mumbo jumbo.
Right.
But you have to be one of the real marketplaces, and
Yep.
they have to accept you. And
Yep.
then you got to go through this whole rigmarole.
Yeah, so some of the steps that involve, so there's 46 platforms now, and at the time there were less, and they have to be approved, regulated. And part of the process is similar to, I think, if you're raising any level of private financing, you have to have pretty polished pitch deck. You have to really have some kind of traction. You have to have a good marketing and financial plan and model. And then in terms of actually going through with it, you file Form C with the SEC. Normally, you're not the one filing that. The platform will do it for you, but you
Right.
have to fill out all your disclosures and everything. A disclosure might be something that, like a risk that, the company might face and that the public has to be aware of it. So that way they know the risk of actually investing in a private company, because a lot of companies don't make it very far,
Right.
to be honest. So they have to know their risk, that they're investing in something that they might not ever see a return, or they might see a wildly successful return. So you file a Form C, the platform will do it on your behalf, and then you're open for a certain period of time where you can take on public investing.
So there's a certain window of time.
There's a certain window, yeah. So it's not just you give us money whenever you feel like it. So like the campaign we ran in 2017, we were open for 4 months in total. The campaign we're running now is only going to be 45 days. So, different timelines, different strategy, and how you try and do that. And the advantage of doing this is there's a number of advantages. So you can get a more strategic investment group. So people who actually use our application invested in 2017, and they're investing here in 2019. So they use the product, they love the product, they want to own a slice of the company and be a part of the growth. And I think when you have people who actually use the product investing, that's a much, much better scenario than having someone, oh, here's 50 grand. I want you to just return a ton of money to me, and they're not going to do anything for you. So, it's a lot easier to take on, $50, $1,000 investments, and now you have 50 investors all over the world potentially that can advocate for your product, and they actually use your product and they'll tell people about it. And that can be a lot more powerful than one investor giving you $50,000.
For sure, because now you have all these evangelists, not only the investors.
Exactly,
They're
yeah.
evangelists of your products. They're users, so they
Yeah.
know. And it's a good endorsement
Exactly.
that you can talk
Yeah,
about,
yeah.
right? Because people are like, not only do I love this product so much that I invested in the company.
For sure.
So how did you decide, and when you go through these separate funding rounds, how do you decide what percent that you're going to give up in exchange for people's investment in your company?
Yeah, there's a lot of different ways you could do that. So for us, we're raising on a safe, simple agreement for future equity with a valuation cap. So, like for example, in 2017, our valuation cap was $5 million. In this round, it's $10 million. There's a lot of companies out there that are raising way above that, way below that. I think the advantage of doing a SAFE the way we're doing it is it's in the name, simple agreement for future equity. It just simplifies everything. So you don't have to necessarily file as much paperwork if you're doing a priced round like you would, if you're doing an equity financing where you're actually buying a price per share. So for us, there's no pure valuation. You convert into equity at a valuation later on, and it allows you to get set up and going. And I think it's somewhat easy to understand and just say, look, the goal is to raise a price round above the valuation cap that we have right now. So right now it's a 10 million cap.
They're getting in early, and there's no liquidity event.
Exactly.
So what a SAFE does is allow people to say, hey, we're gonna get this equity. Based on something later on, when
trigger
we're
a
gonna
conversion
raise a lot
point,
more, money to be able to pay for some sort of a liquidity event, and they're sort of, they get locked in early.
Yeah, for sure. And I think, a lot of the people investing are not sophisticated investors, so they're not trying to nickel and dime every single
arbitrage or something. Right?
Yeah, and it's very founder friendly. So it's awesome because they trust my decisions, and so we have now over 200 investors all over the world who. Most of them are not accredited investors, but they want us to do well. They want us to succeed, and they're backing us. And it's a lot of responsibility because now I have 200 people that are, all right, we're counting on you.
Yeah, you should have a shareholders
go make
meeting.
Me money, right?
Yeah, like how we're counting. I put all my let's
go to
my
Bermuda.
savings.
Yeah, exactly.
My kids aren't going to college, but thank you.
So there's pressure, but at the same time, I'm confident that if we keep doing what we're doing, that's all I can do, right? Just keep working hard.
But
so you're doing another one now, right? You're doing another round.
We're in the middle of a round right now, and so we close that.
They can go to. Is it you're using WeFunder?
We're on WeFunder, so the URL is wefunder.com /MySwimPro. So just WeFunder.
So if you want to go buy shares in MySwimPro right now,
you can invest
in WeFunder,
the app of the year by Apple.
Oh, that's right.
Yeah, that's
pretty
rare. You can never.
So the app of the year would imply that it's very rare because there would be one.
That's correct.
per year. And by the way, it was presented by Tim Apple.
Oh,
Tim Apple in the house.
You just pulled a Tim Apple.
We need like the Twitter thing, just kind of
That's
referencing that.
Well,
no, maybe not.
I wouldn't have pulled that joke if it wasn't for my friend Ferris, MySwimPro. So
True,
otherwise, but no, that's an honor. So tell us a little bit about that. And how did that come about? And do you apply for something like that?
Yeah. So the background is we were named by Apple as the best app of the year for the Apple Watch across all app categories. So like you said, there's only one. 2016. Yeah. 2016? So you get the award like 2017, and so like the other
how many
award.
Apple Watch apps are there?
Oh, so in health and fitness, there's 40,000.
Right, but just overall, there's like
in the app stores there's lots.
Yeah,
there's
seven figures.
It's probably eight figures
or
more. Yeah,
ludicrous amounts.
There's
of
a ton of apps. So
right.
I think the reason why
you weren't number 2 or 3.
No, we were number 1.
Millions.
One out of that's
millions.
It. Yeah,
that's amazing.
Yeah, thank you. And I think the reason why we were selected for that is because it brought new innovation to a new product line. So for example, to be able to have an Apple Watch is cool, but to have real utility to it, like for us, you're in the water, to have a coaching experience, that adds a lot of value to it. And I think Apple recognized that, this is an experience that you really only, exactly. And we were the first swimming app on the Apple Watch, and we were in Tim Cook's keynote
so they have the watch
September.
In the pool?
So we're on the screen with Tim Cook in California, which is really cool. And then a few months later is when we were named App of the Year, and we got a whole ton of press. You can't apply for it, and you actually don't even know that you win App of the Year until the press release comes out. So they don't tell you. You have an assumption that something might have happened.
Did you think somebody was screwing with you?
No,
minutes?
you read it's Apple's website. I don't know how you're not messing around.
Somebody spoofed it.
Russian bot farm.
I didn't even think we knew the word spoof, and we said the same thing at the same time.
And then in 2017, actually, we were on when the Apple Watch Series 3 came out, the next version of it. We were on Apple's website, like the app screen, on the Apple Watch, and so I don't think you can spoof that.
No, that's pretty ludicrous. Yeah.
So that was pretty crazy.
So that's really cool. So when you're thinking about like just as you're talking about that, when you're making changes and updates to the app, for example, I would assume that you've already got this. You've got this feedback loop of your existing customers who also happen to be investors. How do you guys think about ingesting some of that information for updates? Because in the app world, it's to get everybody to download and update their app on their phone or on their iPad or whatever,
Yeah.
is not everybody does it. You just think
Yep.
it automatically updates. It doesn't. So
Yep.
like as you're updating your SDK, there's a lot of stuff that has to go in there. How do you ingest some
Yeah.
of that, and what do you put in there and what don't you put in there?
Yeah, so it's hard because you get so much feedback, and it's your job as the entrepreneur to prioritize like what's important now, what's important but not going to have a value, impact on the bottom line right now. And so it's hard. And we try and evaluate everything from emails that we get, social media mentions, people yelling at me about something not working the way they think it should be working. And you have to sort of filter all of that and see what is going to drive results right now. So it could be something about, making the haptic feedback on the watch any better.
Haptic high five.
We have a haptic high five joke that we have.
Haptic
on.
high five, yeah. So, I mean, that's just one example. Like, okay, are we going to improve the haptic feedback? Are we going to make the app run faster, right? That's a whole nother engineering challenge. And so we try and prioritize all those things. And we come out with an update, every couple of weeks. And you're right, not everyone updates. Luckily, people do update, and they can continuously get a better experience. And sometimes it's funny where someone's on it, we find out they have a bug or something, and they're on a version from like months and months before where that problem was fixed, half a year ago, and they just haven't updated. So that's actually easy. It's like, hey, update your phone, update the app, and it'll fix your problem. That's actually the easiest reply.
Right.
But it's all, you're always learning too, because you don't know what you don't know, and so it's just a continuous learning process.
Well, that's cool. It's like you have to have that, it's like kind of marketing 101. You need that feedback mechanism. It sounds like you guys from the very beginning started it right? You kind of tested a little bit, validate the market.
Exactly, yeah.
Can it scale, right? It's not like, there's a lot of people who swim, right? But you've learned from experience, probably from day one when somebody said, I want to pay you, and it's like,
yeah,
there
and I
might be
think
something
it's a good point too. Just kind of figuring out who exactly your customer is, because you might think, okay, well, swimming, there's like 30 million people who swim in the United States, but they're not all people who would use our application, right? We're way more focused on people who are swimming on their own. They have a specific goal. They might be between the ages of 25 and 45, right? So we start to narrow in. And even though we're making the market smaller on ourselves, but it's a lot more focused of an experience, and you can dominate in that specific category rather than just be like nothing for everyone.
Well, the name kind of implies that it's for people who are, MySwimPro, right?
They're
people,
trying to get somewhere.
they're probably more enthusiasts rather than people who are just doing cannonballs in the swimming pool a couple times a year.
There's nothing wrong with doing cannonballs in the pool, going out in the floaty, getting a tan.
I tracked that on MySwimPro.
I mean,
cannonballs.
You'd be surprised actually the requests we get.
My Cannonball Pro.
There's a lot. I mean, so in the water, there's water aerobics, there's synchronized swimming, there's water polo, right? So we get requests. There's people who have an endless pool, like the one with a jet, that you don't actually go anywhere. So we get requests to do stuff with all of those. And we have to prioritize, okay, are we going to do anything with this? Or, I just got 5 complaints that we don't do X. Are we going to do that? And so that's just another challenge we have to figure out.
All 5 people that do X.
So it could be actually what's really common, and it would surprise you, how many people have an endless pool in their backyard or in their house.
Like an infinity, just
the one that has a jet, like the swim spa that's 12 feet. And
but it doesn't show distance, right? Because they're in the same spot.
So
can you count strokes?
So right now we do not support that, but it's something that we're looking at supporting in the future, because if you think about it, you're not actually physically moving anywhere. You're not pushing off a wall. You can't use GPS because you're in the same spot. So it's one of those engineering challenges that we could probably figure something out, but it's hard because not that many people have it.
Accelerometer.
There is an accelerometer that we can leverage. Yep.
Could be.
So we'll see.
Lightning round?
Lightning round.
All right, let's do it.
Brad's got a new feature, everybody.
Oh boy.
This is lightning round.
He's going to do lightning round. He thinks he's going to stump
Scotch
somebody.
or rye?
Well, I'll go with rye, but I actually don't drink. So
Okay,
curveball.
That was a good guess. Okay,
for someone else.
Ginger or Marianne?
Ginger?
Interesting.
I don't think Ferris knows who I'm talking about. Do you know who I'm talking about?
Yeah,
No, I don't.
Because
So
he would have said Marianne.
Flow with me. I'm like, it's like the first two is like, help us, guys.
Gilligan's
Help
Island.
us,
40
guys.
years old, terrible
okay.
TV
Mike
show.
and I are
All right.
showing our age. That was unfair. So, well, those are salt or pepper.
We're going pepper.
Good one.
Salt and pepper?
Yep. I see we've rehearsed this lightning round very.
Yeah, we didn't rehearse this, but that was something we're just testing it out.
Yeah, we'll see what goes.
For,
We're going to
for our
get some
audience,
feedback.
right now our Twitter machine is blowing up because of this lightning round. So
Probably.
maybe not for our benefit,
Thousands.
but sometimes
yes.
we kind of.
I'm ready for more lightning
We're in
round. I mean,
179
I'm
countries now. This
179.
goes out to MySwimPro. It really will be.
Stripes or plaid?
Stripes.
Boxers or briefs?
Briefs.
Trumpet or trombone?
Trumpet.
Piccolo or flute?
The flute.
Are we keeping score on this? We're keeping scores on this
Ding.
at home, aren't we?
Yes.
I think so.
The
Okay,
flute.
good. Mike, your turn.
My sister played
Oh,
the flute.
I'm good to go. Yeah.
Sister.
Good. So we talked a little bit about, kind of what you guys are thinking about down the road. What kind of advice, maybe kind of in closing a little bit, what advice for folks who are like, imagine yourself 4 or 5 years ago when you're kind of thinking about this. What are some of the kind of sage words of advice for people who want to have an idea, who want to develop an app?
Yep.
What would be, maybe a couple of steps or a couple of ideas and thought starters for them? What kind of advice would you give them?
Yeah. So I main thing is you have to solve a problem for someone. Having an idea is great, but sort of how I mentioned the customer validation, you need to make sure you're actually solving some kind of a pain. And the more you can do customer discovery and figure out what that specific problem is, and you have to be able to articulate it. It's not enough to say, it'd be great if XYZ was solved. You have to be able to clearly define, this is the problem I'm solving, and it's a real problem. People are willing and able to pay for some solution that you might have to solve this problem. And then once you figure that out, the next thing I would say is Google search business model canvas, and you need to be able to go and look at a business model canvas and fill in all the boxes. And if you're not familiar with the business model canvas, it's a way that you can basically build a business plan on one page. So it's like, what is the problem you're solving? What is the solution, the value prop? Who are your distribution partners? What is the financing that would be required to actually make this happen? Yep. And if you can't fill in all those boxes, it means there's some kind of a flaw in your thinking. So before you do any development, any mock-ups, go and hire, a firm for $100,000 to build out your app that you think is so cool, figure out what problem you're solving, make sure you have a solution that actually can solve that, and then fill out a business model canvas to make sure that there's actually going to be some legs to whatever it is that you end up creating.
All of which kind of gets you to that, as they say, like the relevant differentiator, right?
Exactly, yeah.
So like the analogy that I like to use all the time is a square wheel is very, very different. Very different. It's unique, but it's not it's not relevant at all. It's different, but it's not relevant. So you have to have that, it has to be different, i.e. nobody's there before, so it was like blue ocean, if you will.
Yeah.
But you have to have it has to be relevant. In other words, you have to have that audience who, to your point, is willing, it's solving a problem, but people are willing to say, yes, I need that. That is something that I've been looking for.
And the key is I need that, not I want that. Because it'd be cool to have a lot of different things, but unless you actually have a need for it and it's a pain, people are not going to pay for it. And if they can't transact, then you just have like a hobby and not a business.
Well, on that note, Ferris, thanks so much for coming on. We appreciate you coming
Yeah, thanks
on.
for having me, guys.
Appreciate it. This has been great.
This was fun, yeah,
All
of
right.
course.
Thanks.
And props to your mom, by the way, for this sign.
That was fantastic.
This is a shield. Look at this. Yes.